When St. Francis of Assisi first wrote a rule for his new community of brothers in the 13th century, he described how those in charge, called ministers, should act. Let no one be called prior, but let everyone in general be called a lesser brother. Let one wash the feet of the other. Prior was a term used in the Middle Ages for a type of superior of religious men. Francis did not want the ministers to be first or prior, but rather the servants of the rest. In a later version of his rule, he even directed that the brothers should, quote, speak and deal with them as masters with their servants, for so it must be that the ministers are the servants of all the brothers. Francis took this notion of servant leadership from the gospel. In today's text, when James and John, the sons of Zebedee, ask Jesus if they can sit at his right and left when he comes into his glory, Jesus teaches them his idea of leadership. He says, rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This kind of servant leadership has been a popular notion in the business world in recent years, spawning a whole movement for those in charge of the corporate world and how they might act. But Jesus had the idea first. Sadly, the human temptation to allow one's ego to dominate how we treat others has often sullied leadership in the church. Isaiah's suffering servant in the first reading today reinforces our gospel's challenge to the way we're called to treat one another. The letter to the Hebrews describes Christ, our high priest, as one who can, quote, sympathize with our weaknesses because he has similarly been tested in every way, yet without sin. Along with today's gospel, they are cautionary texts for those in church leadership, from the Pope, the servant of the servants of God, as Pope St. Gregory the Great called himself, and to anyone called to church leadership, ordained or not.